This is Golden Years, a roadmap to navigate retirement with Mark Cordner, the podcast.
What's one of the most common mistakes that people make before retirement? Investopedia editor Caleb Silver, he told Yahoo Finance that it's that people don't do the math on income and then they assume what they can spend.
You have to be the CEO of your own life, of your own personal finances. So we ask people to make sure they know what their income replacement strategy is going to be. How much do you need? And then how are you going to fund that? Is that from your savings? Is that from your investments? Do you own other properties? What's your income strategy while you're doing this? Or are you just drawing down from your retirement funds?
I mean, he's exactly right, Mark. We have to know how much we've saved, how much we can spend before we outspend ourselves in retirement.
Yeah, I think he's completely correct. And he points out well that there's multiple sources of income potentially. All of those are going to be taxed differently. There's different layers of volatility with each of those. And so we need to have more certainty. The reality is it can be very stress-inducing to transition from this structured work life we've had for decades into this completely unstructured freedom. I call it buying freedom because when we build infrastructures or we're into their plan that assures them that there are certain guardrails in place. So if things go sideways, we're protected. But the key thing is we've got to, as he said, know the basic math. So one of the first discovery issues we do with clients is we have them actually do a little worksheet. What are your actual expenses? What are your needs? What are the niceties of life and what are the luxuries of life? So we want to clarify. And your basic needs, I call that your dignity level. That we have to guarantee. We've got to find a way to assure that so people have the peace of mind to sleep well at night. And then if we can achieve any of the extras, the niceties, the luxuries, then we want to do that with the investments. But we've got to close the gap between their Social Security, any pensions they may have, and their basic income needs. That needs to be certain. Because at the end of the day, that dignity is really, I think, a key word there. People can otherwise feel constrained. Too many people go into retirement with their finger to the wind. And it's kind of like, okay, well, I'll just spend what I need to spend. And it's stunning to me that, people will say, I want $80,000 a year in retirement, for example, to maintain my lifestyle. And they've saved $400,000. Well, simple math tells you that's only going to last you 5 years. But they've got this idea somewhere in there that, okay, well, the Social Security is going to prolong that, but okay, that may take you to 10 years, but how long are you going to live? Because longevity is a big issue here. If you're going to live 15, 20, 25, 30 years, well, we've got to think through this a little bit more. And sometimes that means postponing retirement for a year or two, or like this woman I met with this morning, she's decided to start a little business. She's a nurse, retired in her early 50s. Decided to go do a little spa-like business, so it's not about having to grind it out for 40, 50, 60 hours a week. In her case now, she's going to have some fun with the ladies doing some body contouring and things like that.
Nice.
But it's side income in a way that, feeds her heart rather than just the wallet. So we got to take all these kind of things into consideration. It's really about what he said, being the CEO of your own life. We can design our own life. We don't have to just be at the mercy of wherever the wind is blowing, as it were. Sure. We can build structures in place, and that's how we help people. Come on in, we say. Let's start a conversation. Let's show you how we can assure things.
You're talking about how we're living longer, and it got me thinking here, what does old age mean? When does it begin? Well, a new study posed that question and found that people in their 60s often answer with the number 74. But when they actually reach that age, then they bump up their elderly estimate further down the road, right? They're just kicking the can. So those behind the research think it's because people don't realize that they're likely going to live longer, and the numbers certainly, bear that out. So how do you help someone understand that the retirement plan they're putting together now, maybe at 50 or 60, is going to have to withstand the fact that we are living longer, so maybe 30, 40 plus years?
Yeah, that's a key thing. I mean, it's how we start all of our educational seminars down at the college is talking about longevity. That is the great risk multiplier. The likelihood of living a long time exposes us to all the risks that are inherent in retirement. There's at least 17 that we track for our clients. But I always say, whatever you're thinking, add 5 or 10 years to it. And one of the fun exercises I like to do in seminars is, I'll ask people, have you ever looked at a life insurance illustration recently? And invariably someone in the crowd has, and I always say, I don't care what company, there's 2,000 life insurance companies. They're all legally required to illustrate their products out to a certain age. What is that age, I ask? And people start throwing out numbers, 85, 90, 100. we get them all the way up to 120 because that's how far the illustrations have gone out. And the important thing about that is the illustrations go to 120, and they have for over 10 years now, because the people who regulate the insurance companies know that there are people now on the planet that will live to age 120, and they legally mandate that the insurance companies keep enough money in reserve to pay out those future claims. Now, the interesting thing is the stuff I'm reading says we really need to adjust that to 140.
Whoa,
which is
140?
Yeah, that's hard to get the mind around, isn't it?
120 was hard to get my mind around. 140, what the heck? Wow.
Yeah, I've actually, one of my employees has an aunt who's 109 years old and going strong.
Yeah, I think the 109, 110 is becoming more common.
But, Stanford University did a study last fall that came out and said that half of the children born today are going to live past the age of 100. Mm-hmm. We already know that roughly half of the married couples at age 65 will have one spouse make it to age 95. And so bottom line is most people have been thinking, oh, I might make it to 75, maybe 80. And I always say, if you're going to run out of money, we're going to have some problems. And so add 5 to 10 years to your expectation, because medical science and technology are converging in a way where they just don't let us die. They prolong our lives, but we're the ones that have to pay for that extra time.
So when you retire, you may have a house here, you may have a house somewhere else, and then you have to be careful where you spend your time, right? You have to spend just the right amount of time in the state where you want to file your taxes. Get this, the state of New York, they went after one man saying that he owed them tax revenue because he had an apartment in New York and didn't spend enough time in Texas. But the man won the case because his dog was in Dallas. So apparently all you need is your dog to live somewhere to officially make that your state of residence. I mean, wow. Talk about a gotcha when it comes to tax planning.
Well, there's one he didn't expect, I'm sure. But it's interesting that there are many states, we think of New York and California particularly, that are going aggressively after people who have tried to find tax havens in, Tennessee and Florida and Texas and Nevada, like I'm in. And so this is becoming more and more common. And we do see people who want to live in different environments. I have a home in Utah. I have a home in Las Vegas. I do business well in Vegas, but I don't handle the heat here well. And so there's a lot of people like that who want to experience different climates. And that's one of the most fun things that I enjoy doing, is showing people how to maximize the equity that they have in their home so that somehow can be used. There's different ways it can be creatively used to create a second home, or perhaps a budget just for Airbnb in it, doing a long-term rental in different places every summer. I've got clients who want to live in Europe, for example, just for certain summer months. And we've absolutely been able to show them how to do that. And I'm not talking wealthy people. I'm talking just the middle of the road kind of income people that I focus on. I don't focus on people that are wealthy. I focus on the people that everyone else is ignoring. And we're very, very often able to show them how to create a lifestyle that they thought was only for the rich and famous, wealthy, famous, whatever that show used to be. Lifestyles of the rich and famous. There we go. They're able to live in a manner like they didn't think was possible for them. But it all takes planning, and tax planning is a key part of that. How much of our money are we giving away? We all heard about how Jeff Bezos recently moved down to Florida and how he's saving, I can't remember, it was like
30 million or something. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Some crazy number. Tens of millions of dollars that he's saving in taxes by just having moved. And so there is a great example of one consideration. You don't have to be Jeff Bezos, though, to be able to take advantage of these strategies. So, yeah, I say, let's talk about it. Where do you want to be? And where do you want to spend your life during what should be the most rewarding time of your life?
Investment advisory services offered through Golden Years Financial LLC, a registered investment advisory firm. Insurance is offered through Golden Years Insurance Services. These firms do not provide legal or tax advice. Consult your own legal and tax advisors before taking actions that may have tax implications. Investing in securities involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Insurance contracts' principal protection is based on the claim-paying ability of the respective insurer. None of the information contained on this website shall constitute an offer to sell or solicit to buy a security or insurance product. The information and opinions contained on this site or requested from this site are provided by third parties believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. They are provided for informational purposes only and are not a solicitation to buy or sell any of the products mentioned. Any media logos and/or trademarks contained herein are the property of their respective owners, and no endorsement by those owners of Mark Cordner, Golden Years Financial, or Golden Years Insurance is stated or implied.